Desdemona, one of the central figures in William Shakespeare's Othello, stands as a symbol of virtue, loyalty, and moral clarity in a world increasingly dominated by suspicion and manipulation. As Othello's wife and the emotional heart of the play, she is essential not only to the narrative's unfolding but also to its broader thematic resonance. Though she becomes the tragic victim of Iago's schemes and Othello's jealousy, Desdemona remains a character of striking complexity, at once strong-willed, compassionate, vulnerable, and idealistic. Her presence illuminates the play's concerns about gender, race, innocence, evil, and the fragile nature of trust. Role in the narrative. Desdemona's relationship with Othello provides the foundation of the play's central conflict. Her marriage, pursued out of genuine love and personal agency, becomes the focal point of Iago's hatred. Without her, Iago's plot would lack its emotional force. It is through manipulating Othello's perception of Desdemona's fidelity that he triggers the general's downfall. Her elopement also disrupts the social order of the Venetian elite, particularly enraging her father, Brabantio. This tension between love and social expectation lays the groundwork for the vulnerability Iago later exploits. Thus, Desdemona is not merely a passive participant but a crucial figure whose choices set major narrative events in motion. Throughout Othello, Desdemona represents the play's moral core. Her honesty and kindness stand in stark contrast to Iago's deceit and malice. Her consistent devotion to Othello, despite his growing cruelty, heightens the tragedy, showing the vast disparity between her perception of love and the destructive jealousy consuming him. In Venice and later in Cyprus, Desdemona's presence softens the militaristic environment. Her gentle advocacy on Cassio's behalf shows her desire to reconcile others, highlighting her role as a peacemaker. Ironically, this act of kindness becomes the very tool Iago twists to destroy her. Desdemona's narrative arc culminates in her tragic death, a moment that reveals the consequences of unchecked jealousy and misplaced trust. Her innocence makes her victimization all the more painful. She dies still professing love for Othello and refusing to condemn him even as she takes her last breaths. Her fate serves as a devastating reminder of how virtue alone cannot protect individuals from malice and misunderstanding. Symbolic significance. Desdemona symbolizes purity, not merely in the sense of chastity, but in moral sincerity, compassion, and loyalty. Everything about her is contrasted with Iago's darkness. Where he embodies deception, she represents truth. Where he sows division, she seeks unity. Her death symbolizes the triumph of evil over good, not because evil is stronger, but because goodness is unprepared for the force of corrupted suspicion. Desdemona also represents the Renaissance ideal of womanhood, obedient, loving, loyal, and gentle. Yet Shakespeare complicates this image. Desdemona is obedient in her love for Othello but assertive in expressing her own desires. She navigates between these expectations, revealing both the strength and the constraints placed on women. Her tragic fate reflects the dangers of a society in which women's voices are often ignored or misinterpreted. Her truth is never fully recognized, her assertions of innocence are dismissed, and her virtues cannot protect her in a world where male authority determines reality. Desdemona and Othello's marriage symbolizes the possibility of harmony across racial and cultural differences. Their union defies the racial prejudices of Venetian society, suggesting a progressive vision of love that transcends boundaries. Her unwavering devotion to Othello challenges the racist assumptions voiced by Iago and Brabantio. Yet this symbolic union also becomes a site of attack. Iago uses racial fear to poison Othello's mind, turning the marriage from a symbol of unity into a battleground of insecurity and jealousy. Desdemona, as the link between Othello and Venetian society, becomes the primary target in this struggle. Broader implications. Desdemona's treatment throughout the play exposes the vulnerability of women in patriarchal societies. Her voice is repeatedly dismissed, her honesty questioned, and her autonomy undermined. Even her final words, when she takes blame for her own death, reflect how deeply internalized her loyalty is. Her story reveals the imbalance of power in gender relations. Women are expected to be faithful, obedient, and trusting, but such qualities can render them powerless against male suspicion and authority. Desdemona's interactions showcase how easily misunderstandings can be weaponized. Her innocent efforts to help Cassio are interpreted as evidence of infidelity. Each of her actions is filtered through Iago's distortions and Othello's insecurities. Through Desdemona, Shakespeare illustrates how truth can be lost when communication breaks down and assumptions replace dialogue. Her inability to counter Othello's suspicions highlights the tragic consequences of misread intentions. Desdemona's fate raises questions about the place of innocence in a morally complex world. Her goodness, rather than shielding her, becomes a stark contrast that reveals the brutality of Iago's schemes. Her tragic death embodies the theme that innocence alone cannot survive corruption, an idea that resonates across Shakespeare's tragedies. Desdemona's love for Othello is unwavering, rooted in genuine admiration and emotional connection. Yet this same love becomes entangled in Othello's jealousy, showing how trust, once broken, can twist love into violence. Through Desdemona, the play warns that love must be accompanied by understanding, communication, and emotional stability. Otherwise, it becomes vulnerable to external manipulation. Conclusion. Desdemona stands as one of Shakespeare's most compelling tragic heroines, noble, compassionate, courageous, and deeply human. Her role in the narrative is central. She motivates both the play's conflicts and its emotional depth. Symbolically, she embodies purity, idealized womanhood, and cross-cultural harmony. Her tragic death exposes the dangers of jealousy, societal prejudice, gender inequality, and the destructive power of deception. Ultimately, Desdemona's character invites audiences to reflect on how goodness survives, or fails to survive, amid a world where trust can be broken, truth distorted, and love corrupted. Through her, Shakespeare reveals not only the vulnerability of virtue but also its enduring, heartbreaking beauty.